Well, this September, certain specified offals were finally banned from all animal feed.
When you've got the clear support of the scientists who deal with these matters, the clear support of the Department of Health, the clear action of the government.
He couldn't feed himself, he couldn't walk, he had no coordination.
Officially known as Bovine Spongiform Encephalopathy, or BSE, mad cow disease is an incurable, fatal, neurodegenerative disease of cattle. From 1986, mad cow disease led to the slaughter of over 4 million cattle after it was discovered it could be spread to humans. This occurs from a misfolded protein called a prion, which causes cell death. Prions are found mostly in the brain, leading to behavioural issues in cattle such as trouble walking, aggression, weight loss, and eventually paralysis and death. Prion diseases such as BSE are universally fatal, and the time between infection and symptoms is generally 4 to 5 years, and time from symptoms to death typically takes weeks to months. At the time of the outbreak, cattle farming was the biggest sector of British agriculture, comprising of up to 38% of the United Kingdom's entire agricultural product, and was capable of providing the vast majority of domestic demand for beef and dairy, as well as significant exports of beef and cheese. During this period, the cattle were fed what is known as a meat and bone meal, or an MBM, which is found to increase milk yields more than non-meat alternatives such as soybean. Mad cow spread to cows who ate MBMs that contained infected sheep meat, which had a disease called scrappy, which is a fatal degenerative disease affecting the nervous system of sheep and goats. In the 90s, the British government believed that the animals that ate infected MBMs with scrapie could not be spread to humans, so it wasn't really considered a big issue at the time. However, when a Siamese cat by the name of Max got infected with a BSE, providing the first confirmation outside of a laboratory that BSE could in fact be transmitted between species through eating infected meat, both the government and the public began to panic. On top of that, the cases of disease in cattle began to increase, with up to 100,000 cases confirmed in 92 to 93. In an attempt to stop the spread, farmers across Britain slaughtered over 4.4 million cattle during the outbreak. In the mid-90s, Britain banned feeding meat and bone meals and began tracking animals and testing any cow over 30 months old intended for human consumption. In 1994, people were showing symptoms of CJD, which is a disease that occurs naturally in humans in later life. But a new variant called VCJD was discovered through eating BSE infected meat. The first death recorded was from a 19-year-old by the name of Stephen Churchill. The government at this time still promoted, however, the idea that it was safe to eat the meat in 1995, claiming that there was insufficient evidence that BSE infected meat and caused VCJD in humans. In fact, it wasn't actually until March 20th, 1996 that Stephen Durrell, who was the Secretary of State for Health, announced that VCJD was linked to eating BSE infected meat. In August of the same year, British coroner ruled that Peter Hall, who was a 20-year-old vegetarian, died of VCJD when he contracted it from eating beef burgers as a child. This verdict is the first to legally link a human death to mad cow disease. In March 1997, the EU imposed a worldwide ban on exports of British beef. The ban lasted for 10 years until being lifted on the 1st of May 2006. Although restrictions remained on British beef containing vertebral material and beef sold on the bone, the ban led to trade disputes between the UK and other EU states, dubbed a beef war by the media. France continued to impose a ban on British beef illegally long after the European Court of Justice had ordered it to lift its blockade, although it's never paid any fine in doing so. As a result, a total of 178 people died from eating BSE infected meat, most latest occurring back in 2016. Overall, around 180,000 cattle had been diagnosed with BSE. Although most cases occurred in the UK, mad cow disease showed up in very small numbers in Canada, Washington, Alabama, as well as California in the States and Japan. Now, one of the biggest issues with this is how the British government actually was so slow to acknowledge the problem, to inform the public, and in taking the necessary steps in dealing with the outbreak. And as a result, an inquiry was launched and a report was released in the year 2000, which was critical of the government. The Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food and Chief Medical Officer, Sir Donald Atkinson. Now, for me, it's quite concerning, but not surprising, how a government will, generally speaking, always try to downplay any sort of health issue, because I'm guessing mainly because it's a reputational thing or it's a prideful thing. A lot of time people that are in power do not have the scientific background to actually back up all the claims that they make in terms of something being safe or not safe. And it's something that's obviously very scary for us as the public, who depend on the government that we elect to make sure that the standards of food are being met and that there isn't any unnecessary deaths, because as a result of this, like, people unnecessarily die. Like, the amount of deaths that could have been saved if they took it more seriously early on. And you'd also have to feel for the farmers who of course lost probably like millions of pounds worth of stock, and having to deal with the fact that the meat that they sold had killed someone probably wasn't a great effect on their own mental health. And it's something that I'm sure a lot of the farming community still remembers to this day as a dark part of their history. So that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. If there's anything you wanted to add to the topic of mad cow disease, please leave it down in the comments below. If there's anything I missed, please let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe as always. This one is nice, short and sweet this week, and I'll have another video for you hopefully next week. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.